Hey guys, how's it going? Jordan Locke here. Some disturbing news coming out of good old MAGA country USA. This was reported over the last 24 hours. I want you guys to listen to this. You're not going to believe this. Public gayness banned in rural US town, up to 5 years of punishment for offenders. Let me read that again. Public gayness banned in rural US town, up to 5 years of punishment for offenders. This didn't happen in Asia or in Africa or somewhere where governments are historically, let's just say, unfriendly to the LGBTQ community. This happened here in the US in good old MAGA country. So the underlying ordinance was passed in June of this year, 2023, but it was recently extended to include not just overtly homosexual behavior in public, but also an almost complete ban on books that are pro-LGBTQ. So let me go ahead and read this to you guys. Locals of a Tennessee city are using a recently passed ordinance basically prohibiting homosexuality in public as a loophole to ban library books they consider gay. Rural town Murfreesboro in June passed an ordinance banning indecent behavior, which includes indecent exposure, public indecency, lewd behavior, nudity, or sexual conduct. The rule seems overtly targeted at the gay community, as journalist Aaron Reed first reported the mention of Section 21-72 in the ordinance, which states that sexual conduct includes homosexuality, essentially banning all forms of public affection of gay couples besides talking. You can't make this stuff up, guys. Citizens found violating the new rule will be barred from hosting public events or selling goods and services at them for 2 years. Those who are caught breaking the ordinance in the presence of minors will be barred for 5 years. Naturally, an ACLU-supported challenge to the restriction has been set into motion, but city officials have gone ahead and ratified the measure. Last week, the Rutherford County Steering Committee met to discuss banning all books that may violate the new ordinance, which resulted in public backlash. When have the people who ban books ever been the good guys? Local activist Carrie Lambert explained at the meeting last week. 4 books that possess LGBTQ themes have been removed under the new rule. This included Flamer, Let's Talk About It, Queerfully and Wonderfully Made, and This Book is Gay. The board also made changes to the library card system, which now categorizes books into certain age groups. The new mechanic will go into effect next year, will ensure that children and teens are only able to check out books that correlate with their age group, unless they are given parental permission. The new regulations regarding books has worried library director Rita Shacklett, who in August voiced concerns about the children having access to books they need for class. According to her, many books considered classics in high school English, like To Kill a Mockingbird, is now considered an adult book, according to the New Republic. The county steering committee hasn't taken aim at books like A Song of Ice and Fire series, which depicts multiple instances of heterosexual sexual conduct. Murfreesboro's new ordinance is a small piece of a larger effort to target LGBTQ rights in Tennessee, which was the first state to attempt a ban on drag shows. The law was overturned in court. In March, Tennessee lawmakers passed a bill allowing people the right to refuse to perform marriage if they disagree with a couple's sexual orientation. The bill was introduced to Senate but deferred until next year. So, guys, the clear point here is that, first of all, let's back up a little bit. For those of you who are not in the U.S., Tennessee is in the deep South, right? We consider that here in the U.S. to be the deep South. Completely red state. All Republican, well, historically all Republican, as of recently, pretty much all MAGA. MAGA is the extremist version of Republican. For those of you who live in this country, you know very well about Tennessee. Not very progressive. We'll put it that way. At all. And when I say progressive, I don't mean progressive in the woke sense, as the conservatives would call it. I mean progressive in any way at all. I mean, I think it's one of the least educated states in the country. It's historically almost all Republican, just a sea of red. I believe it's in the Bible Belt. So this type of thing doesn't really come as a shock. But the fact that they are so brazen about trying to ban public expressions of affection between homosexual couples. This should be very, very worrisome, guys. Now, the good news is that this was actually overturned due to public outcry, right? So we're going to read this article from the Daily News Journal. This just came out 4 hours ago. Homosexuality is now legal in Murfreesboro. City leaders decide in response to lawsuit. So after introducing such a ridiculous ordinance and trying to extend it to encompass reading material that's pro-LGBTQ and displays of affection between LGBTQ couples in that area, they were rightfully sued, and now they're saying that it's okay to be homosexual. So let's read this article really quick. The term homosexuality stopped being a part of a city code prohibiting inappropriate sexual conduct, the Murfreesboro City Council decided recently. City Manager Craig Tyndall advised the council to update a city ordinance dating back to 1949, following a federal First Amendment lawsuit from the Borough Pride LGBTQ supporters in a court order from Judge Waverly D. Crenshaw, Jr., the chief judge for the U.S. District Court in Nashville. The council, in a unanimous 5-0 vote, agreed to eliminate the term homosexuality from the code's definition, prohibiting inappropriate sexual conduct. Council members Austin Maxwell and Jamie Averwater were absent. The LGBTQ plus festival organizers and the American Civil Liberties Union won the court order and a change in the city code prior to the October 28th Borough Pride free event for all ages at Tennessee Miller Coliseum in North Murfreesboro. Crenshaw's ruling tells Murfreesboro City Manager, Mayor Shane McFarland, and the council that they shall not enforce or take any action pursuant to the provision to Murfreesboro City Code 21-71 that includes homosexuality within the definition of sexual conduct. The city responded to the court order by saying the government reached a compromise with the Borough Pride pertaining to the code in question. Enforcement of the code and the city's recent community decency standards ordinance has concerned supporters of Borough Pride and the Rutherford County Library System who worry about book banning. The term homosexuality is an anachronism unenforceable under current law, Tyndall's report says. Therefore, it should be excluded from the definitions used in these ordinances. The council and mayor refrained from commenting when they agreed to update the code by deleting the word homosexuality from the definition of sexual conduct. Tyndall, during the meeting, only talked about updating the language in a code that's unenforceable without discussing details of the language in question. So guys, I know the timeline is a bit convoluted here. This has to do with an ordinance that was passed in June of this year, 2023. That ordinance was recently extended to include a ban on LGBTQ books, pro-LGBTQ books, and a ban on public displays of homosexual affection. Luckily, this extension on the ordinance was rescinded recently due to public outcry and a lawsuit from the ACLU. So all good there, all's well that ends well. That still doesn't take away from how disturbing it is that this town government tried to pass this ordinance. Like, this is something that a government in the US tried to pass. The US is supposed to be the most tolerant country in the world. And this happened here, not in Asia, not in Africa, right here in the good old US of A. So to me, I wanted to talk about this because to me, this illustrates the danger of like the MAGA mentality, right? People who are consumed by this, we'll call it a MAGA insecurity because that's exactly what it is. The people who are this far deep into MAGA extremism, it's really because they are having one of their deepest insecurities assuaged by Donald Trump. And because of that, the logic behind what Donald Trump does doesn't matter. It's just about their insecurity being tended to by Donald Trump. And Donald Trump knows what he's doing. This is not a secret, right? It's just basic psychology. You just make people feel good about themselves and they'll go along with whatever you want them to go along with, right? The problem here is that this is how it starts, right? So it starts with a small town in Tennessee putting a ban on public displays of homosexuality. Where does it go from there? Is it next then the state of Tennessee that has the ban if that town were to successfully pass this ordinance? And then is it the entire South at that point? Is it basically any red state or any state that is embracing this MAGA ideology? What happens next? What happens after a public ban on homosexuality and a public ban on pro-LGBTQ books? Is there a public ban on books that detail interracial romance? Is there then a ban on interracial movies? Is there then a ban on interracial couples showing affection in public? Because we all know that this is the end game of the MAGA extremists. This is what they really want, right? In their deepest fantasies, a lot of them know that they can't really have this because we live in a world that is extremely diverse in terms of race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender. But in their deepest, darkest, most far-right MAGA fantasies, this is exactly the world that they want to live in, right? They want to live in a world of uniformity, not a world of diversity. They want to live in a world where everybody looks exactly the same, everyone worships exactly the same, has the same religion, everybody has the same sexual orientation, all genders are the same, or gender construct is the same as it's always been. They are not welcoming of diverse concepts. So this to me is a sign of what MAGA extremists really want to do. And so this is why it's so important that we do not let this MAGA extremist ideology win, right? They don't want diversity. They want uniformity. They don't want equality. They want supremacism. And they won't tell you this. They're too coward to tell you this. But at the end of the day, this is really what they want. This is why they are so drawn to Trump, because Trump gives them exactly what they want to hear, right? Trump is all about these ideas, but he's also a master of masking these ideas behind dog whistles. And this is what the whole MAGA party is all about. It's about their fearless leader with all of these extremist and racist and homophobic dog whistles and all of the people on the far right who believe these things and want these things to become a reality. So this is the danger with electing someone like Donald Trump again, guys. This is the reason why we have to make sure this guy does not ever see the inside of the White House again. Thank you so much for watching this, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.